Hello everybody, welcome to Video Entrepreneurs Season 2. I am super excited to be hanging out with you guys, and I'm going to introduce you guys to a bunch of really awesome other creators that I know you're going to love hanging out with. Over the next 12 weeks, it's going to be awesome. We're going to learn so much together. I know I'm looking forward to tonight. I am in the hot seat, which if you don't know what that means that I am coming to this group of other full-time YouTube creators, and I am going to be presenting them with some questions and problems, roadblocks that I'm bumping into on the YouTube, the business side of my YouTube channel, to be like, hey guys, what feedback, ideas, questions, that I should be thinking about? How can you help me work through these? And we're going to do this every week for the next 12 weeks publicly with you guys, so that hopefully not only do we get a lot of value, like I am really looking forward to hearing their advice and input and then giving what I can hopefully to these guys as well as we go through, this whole season 2, but also for you guys as creators, as you're thinking about some of these things, and you're getting like new ideas and you're bumping into stuff. Maybe you aren't a full-time YouTube creator like us, but you want to get there. Hopefully we can help you know how to think about your channel and business development, audience development, and things like that. So before you get to that point, you already know what you need to do, what you're doing, what you're working on, and avoid some of the problems that we're bumping into. And even if you are a full-time creator, we're looking forward to just helping you guys out the best as we can. So this is going to be a really great season. I'm really excited to introduce you guys to the guests and the co-hosts that I have here with me to help you guys think through this and help each other think through this here. It's going to be awesome. So a couple things before we get started. Number one, you can find links to all their channels in the description of this video. And number two is, I know that some of you might not be able to watch this live as we are right now. If you're watching a replay of this later, that's fine. That's great. You can do that. There's a couple other places, though, that you can get replays of this. And one of them is right here on YouTube. I will also be taking the audio from these shows that we're doing every week for the next 12 weeks and taking the audio from them and turning that into a podcast. So you can download those from iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher. Links to all those are also in the description below. You guys will just start to learn that you should be checking the description for a lot of information going forward. And the other thing is, I know, if you're like me, I have 6 young kids, and it's hard for me to schedule things and know, okay, I need to be in front of my computer at 10 p.m. Eastern time every Wednesday night for these live streams. It's just easy for me to forget, right? And I'm sure you're probably similar to me. And so if you are, this works best within the US, but if you would like to, you can simply text the keyword VC Live to 43506, and you can sign up for the text messaging list for these live streams. And I'll just send you a text message when we go live with a little link so that you can just, oh yeah, they're going live. I'm gonna join them right now and go, I just tap it and watch on my phone and interact in the chat and everything like that. It'll be great. So it doesn't cost you anything other than the text or than the cost of receiving a text message. And so you can do that. Text the keyword VC Live to 43506. And thanks to my friends at techsignal.com for making that available for us to use here together. That's awesome. And I also, before we jump into the content and I introduce you guys to these awesome co-hosts I have here with me, I give a huge thanks to VidIQ for sponsoring this episode and making all this possible. We were just talking before we went live. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes here to make these things possible for you. And their tool, vidIQ's tool, is one that I really love and that I love using. So let me introduce you to their Chrome extension, vidIQ's Chrome extension. Really cool here. I use this to kind of see what my competition's doing, analyze what's working well, what's not working well in different videos, and learn how I can best optimize my videos, as well as learn from where some of my audience, what they might be responding to on YouTube, so I can make my videos easy for them to respond to. So really quick, and this is all free, guys, from vidIQ, this extension. I can see an overview of how, the overall score their video's getting based on engagements and views and popularity, things like that. Views per hour, this kind of lets me know, is this video still climbing or is it declining? And in this case, this video is kind of declining. It's getting 633 views per hour, but that's less than it's been so far since it's been published. So do I want to target this video as being a related video to this one or not? That'll give you some of that information. Engagements, view duration, estimated earnings based on a $1.5 CPM, engagement rate, traffic, where it's coming through, some quick stats about Facebook and performance and YouTube performance here, and then SEO. This is where a lot of you guys are going to find helpful. Okay, so here's an overall SEO score. There's some things that they can do to improve here, as you can see, one annotation. So the ones I go to mostly would be like these refers, and this is like who's linking back. And there's 162 people linking back to this video. And I like looking through this and it's like, okay, Facebook.com/Great Wall Camera is linking to them. And so if I'm doing a camera channel like these guys are, it might be worth reaching out to Great Wall Camera, trying to build a connection with those guys and reaching out to them. A little bit of information about the channel. It also reveals their tags, and these are really cool because I can already see, all right, they're making some mistakes. They're putting semicolons after their tags, so these tags are kind of worthless right here, as opposed to maybe like Canon 5D Mark IV that has an overall score. That tag that's ranking number 3 for that. If I was to search for that keyword, this video is ranking number 3, and I can see there's an opportunity score here of 80, which means that there's 76 on a scale of 1 to 100, 76 volume, which means there's a lot of people searching, and relatively low competition with only a score of 16. And so that tells me like, hey, if I'm gonna make a video on this keyword, now's the time to do it because there's a lot of people searching and there's not a whole lot of competition, so it gets an opportunity score of 80. So as you guys can study what your competition's doing, there's other stuff here, historical data about how this video is performing. I can see who's tweeting it, even if they don't tag me. Whoever is sharing this URL on Twitter lets me reach out, say thank you, build relationships with people who are sharing my videos. Also, I can see what's trending based on other keywords that this video is using, so I can kind of start digging into this Canon 5D Mark IV videos and what's trending right now, and learn from what they're doing, so I can potentially make videos that will perform just as well as these do by learning what else is going on. So you guys can get it from vidiq.com/vision, or there is a link in the description below that'll take you to it. It's completely free, so you can get it, add it to Chrome, and if you use the promo code Video Creators TV, you can use any of their paid plans for absolutely free for 30 days. You can see it's got good reviews, a really strong user base, and a lot of people love this and are using this. So go check them out. Link to them is in the description below. You guys will love them. I love them. And use that promo code to get any of their free plans any of their paid plans for free for 30 days. You guys will love it. So let me introduce you to my awesome friends, these panelists here that are going to be doing this with us here. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Video Entrepreneurs. You can say hi.
Hello.
They can say
Hi. Hi.
Yeah, so guys, I'm going to have each one of them go through. They're going to introduce themselves, links to all their channels in the description below, and then we're going to jump into the topic here today. Let's start with you, Derek. Tell us about your channel on YouTube, what you're doing there, and introduce us to what you're working on.
All right, so I make cocktail videos. I do a different mix-up of spirit reviews, how to make different specific cocktails, from crazy college drinks to the classic pre-prohibition stuff. That's my set. We do a cocktail or we do a video every day. I take off Saturdays and Sundays now, but that's a new thing starting last week. And I've been doing it for 8 years. As of last July, I went full-time in April of this year. And I'm always looking for different ways of getting cooler and learning some new techniques.
Well, hopefully this will make you cooler. I mean,
I hope so.
We'll see.
I got the shirt.
Yeah. Well, you don't have this shirt though. This is the one you need right here.
But I didn't get sent that shirt.
We should fix that. Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you, man. It's good to have you here. Mitch, tell us about your channel. What do you do?
So I am the host, producer, everything on Dash Star, which is a Star Wars based show. So I just talk about Star Wars theories and upcoming content, because for the next 20 years, I think we're pretty set for Star Wars. So there's a lot to flesh out. And I do weekly, obviously, theories and collaborate with other people. Outside of that, I work on 2 different channels, and I just love the creating process so much. I'm a video team manager for one, and then voiceover just for another, because it's a lot of fun to create video. So I like diversifying.
Yeah, awesome. It's good to have you here, Mitch.
Thank you.
And Antonio, tell us about your channel.
All right, guys, can you hear me okay? Yeah. I should be unmuted.
Yeah, and
yeah, so I use history, I use military history, a little bit of science to teach guys why style matters. And yeah, so I enjoyed my channel. I started it a few years back. I had a custom clothier, but I found that I really enjoyed the video creation process. I've got probably well over 600 videos. I don't know, like almost over 600,000 subscribers. And I've been able to create conferences from this. I have so I actually do meet people live. I've actually created a media company from my channel. So I partner with what many people perceive to be my biggest competitor, and we just came together and we basically have created companies out of this. So
Awesome.
yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Great. Well, it's good to have you here, Antonio. Melissa and Chad, tell us about your channel.
Oh, well, I'm Chad. This is Melissa, just in case you didn't know who was who. And I run a channel called Clean My Space, which makes informative and entertaining cleaning videos. We've been doing it since 2011 is when we uploaded our first video. It all came from, we own a cleaning company here in Toronto. And 5 years ago, we put up a video to maybe get some people who were interested in using our cleaning services. But people ended up being much more interested in the videos themselves. So we ended up going down that route. And 2 years ago, we started a production company, and this is now a full-time job for me, and basically a full-time job for Melissa, along with a bunch of other things.
I still run the service company too, so a little bit of a balancing game.
Ooh, that's a lot. Man, how did you guys make time for this? I don't know. Well, cool. Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you for being here. Good to have you guys. And Shannon, tell us about your channel.
Hi, I'm Shannon. I'm the creator behind Bounce Patrol Kids, which is a YouTube show for preschoolers. So we make music videos for young kids, probably about aged 1 to 5, but we have some that appeal to slightly older and some younger as well. So we do original songs mainly, some nursery rhymes as well. And yeah, we just love to dance around and sing and be silly and have fun.
Yeah, my kids love it. So links to all their channels are in the description below. You guys should totally check them out and follow along with their journey, what they're doing, what they're working on, and some of the things we'll be talking about here. Maybe you can then watch them flesh, like you'll hear the behind the scenes here, and then you go watch their channel and see how it maybe fleshes out on the front end of how it's what we talk about and learn here together. So what we're going to do is I'm going to present a couple questions I want to talk about, some things I'm working on in my business, get feedback from these guys, and hopefully it's all going to be helpful and valuable for you. But we also want to interact with you guys. So I can already see you in the chat, you know, Shock Mouse, Pamela D, Feared Friends, Talk About the Magic. Hey, Joseph, good to have you here. It's Danny, The Joyous Family, John Morris, Tokios, how do you say that? Zenut Jam, Charisse Alexander, all of you guys. It's great to have all of you here. And so we are watching, and actually there's a lady in chat. Her channel is Scandinavian Today. Her name's Heidi. And as you're asking questions, she's going to be taking a lot of those questions and then sharing them with me and the rest of the group. So she's going to be watching all the questions and taking care of it. So if you see Scandinavian Today in there, say hi, you know, and she'll take care of you. But yeah, so we mostly want to focus on questions that are relevant to this topic here today and the things that we'll be talking about as far as like product launches and live events for your audience and things. And so those types of questions specifically would be great. But Heidi will be taking all those questions and funneling them to us to talk with you guys about too. So this is for us, but it's also for you. So we hope that we can all have fun and learn a lot here from each other. So it's gonna be awesome. So you guys ready for my question?
Yep.
So here's what I'm working on. You know, so a big part of my business model actually is product sales. In fact, exactly 47% of my overall business's income comes from product sales, which are like, you know, ebooks and courses and trainings and things like that. So it's like almost half of my income. So it's a big deal. I am currently working on a course about like how it's like the most in-depth course I've seen on just video SEO on YouTube. It's going to be like really long and I'm really proud of it. But I want to hear from you guys before I launch this thing. I've launched a few others before, They've gone okay. I would love to hear just general, first of all, some advice and ideas you guys about how you launch products that you've created for your audience, as well as maybe even just products in general that maybe you're just doing sponsorships for or things like that. How do you guys go about launching those to your audience in ways that are well received, it converts well, serves them well, serves you well, like all that kind of stuff. So what do you guys think?
Tim, I've launched quite a few products, and I'd have to say anticipation. You've got to get people excited about it, almost to the point that, people are like, okay, almost that you feel you're overdoing it. And if you're not, I think we've talked before about building and getting them on your email list. I use Infusionsoft,
Yeah.
But if you're using Aweber or MailChimp, you've got to also get those the people that really want it, you've got to get them on either a particular list, if you're using MailChimp or Aweber, or you've got to get them tagged correctly as being, ready for it on with Infusionsoft. So get them from the video over to email. And there are many people that will watch the video, but I'm always working to get them off of this platform and into one which I can be a little bit more intimate with, which is email. And I even, if it's a high-end product that, I've sold products at $3,000, $5,000, I actually have it so that I've collected other information such as phone numbers. And I actually call. So it depends on the price that we are selling, but because you can't make up the time, and getting them excited about it, to me, is one of the best things you can do.
Yeah. So are you just getting them excited just on email? Are you using YouTube to do that too? Or is YouTube just the funnel?
I'm using it all together. YouTube, obviously, you've got to be able to, I mention it, I talk about it. If I have a hard date, I'm talking about the date. But I'm always trying to get people, YouTube is a great platform to reach people, but I get them over to a web page, and usually they see the date, they perhaps see a timer. I'm collecting email addresses because there's either the promise of perhaps bonuses, a discount, and then I open it up for a set period. There's usually about 3 days, 7 days that the cart is open to, if it's an electronic product, if it's a membership. And there's all, using things like scarcity, urgency. So oftentimes I'll have only 50 people. And if I'm running a class, there's a reason there's that limit for 50 people. The same way we've only got 6 people here, so you can give individual attention or something like that.
Yeah.
But you use all that, to be able to create that sale. You've got to leverage all of those triggers.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I would say too, make sure you leverage where your biggest audience is. I have not had much success launching products, so I can say learn from a mistake that I made potentially. When we started selling our t-shirts, that was a little bit tricky to talk about in a YouTube video because we don't do a stand and talk to camera. All of our videos are a music video. So I thought, okay, I won't worry about making a specific video about the product launch for YouTube. I'll just talk about it in the other places. Talked about it on Facebook, talked about it on Twitter, talked about it on email. And not enough of our audience knew that the product was there, that it was happening. And by choosing not to communicate in one of those places, it really hurt the launch, which was a really good lesson. Like the majority of our audience is there. We need to use that communication method. So if the majority of your audience and where people are hearing about you is from YouTube, I would say focus on those other areas as well, but make sure that the best way to communicate with people is where you have your biggest audience, and put a lot of effort into that particular communication method as well. So while email lists might be very useful, don't focus on that at the expense of where your audience are hearing most of your messages from.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I would, for me, I kind of do it way ahead of time. So, I have an online store where I sell cocktail gear. It made sense because I'm making cocktails, so I can sell the stuff that I'm using outside of alcohol. And then I kind of did what you did, and I know you helped me, Tim, with the ebook design, where I made cocktail recipes, and I sell cocktail recipe books that are ebooks that also sometimes call for ingredients that I have in the store. Then I might make the recipe and promo it on the show. So I kind of tie it all together. But before that, I was building the mailing list before I had the product, and kind of building that foundational architecture and structure so that I could hit those areas. Because I did the same thing with Instagram. I wanted to use Instagram, and like you said, I produced a thing, I put it out there, and no one cared, right? It's tough to put links on Instagram. Then I put it on Facebook, and nobody cared. I put it on YouTube, and everybody cared. So I was like, well, how do I solve this? Well, I like that everybody cares, but how do I make more care spaces? So I started doing a lot more interaction. I focused on Instagram and building cocktails and doing it that way. And now I'm kind of moving into Snapchat. I've sold a lot of ebooks just using Snapchat, saying, hey, new ebooks out. Huh. They're as engaged as they can be. They care about my story. Who cares about my story, right? So if I post it there, I show a new product on Snapchat, I sell them immediately, and I don't even have to give.
So you're basically just like just talking to people, putting it out there wherever the people are following you, basically.
Yeah,
right?
And the funny thing is, you have to do a lot. Like I'll do a Snapchat of this new product I have, right? And then I'll Snapchat again when it gets out. I'll put it on Facebook. I'll talk about it in a video, and then at the end of the day, 3 weeks, 4 weeks later, people go, "Hey, where do I buy that stuff?" And I'm like, "What? How?" I thought I was being obnoxious. But you're not even there yet. Like you have to really work at it to be like the ShamWow level of obnoxious.
Well, you got to remember too, I guess, that not everyone sees everything you post. You know.
No. Well, I hope so.
Sorry, go ahead, Chad. Was I over talking you?
No, I think we would probably just echo the exact same sentiment. Sometimes you get so wrapped up in the audience that you fail to realize that something that you post on Facebook reaches 10,000 people, and that's out of say 200,000 people who could potentially be looking at it on Facebook, let alone the 500,000 or a million people on YouTube or on Instagram or on Snapchat. And we found no matter how much we ended up promoting something, because our product was cloths, quite like bar stuff to yours, we decided that cloths would probably be the best choice for us. And we talked about it. And we thought that we had talked about it enough that everybody knew about it. And we found out that very few actually probably did know about it. 25% of our audience, no matter how much we yelled that we were selling this, it still wasn't penetrating as deeply as we actually thought it was.
This is good for me to hear. Yeah. So did you find out, Chad and even Derek and Antonio and all you guys, did you find out like your die-hard viewers are just like watching everything you do? They're at all your live streams. They're watching every single video. They're like, did those people start to get burned out? Be like, yo, you need to back off. Like, bought your book already. Did that happen or?
No, they bought two. It's an ebook, right?
Fans.
We haven't had that experience either. I mean, our super fans are so unbelievably supportive that when we launch a product, they want nothing more than to see us succeed with it. And I just want to add on to what Chad said quickly. I mean, one of the techniques that we've been doing with our cloths is, we have like probably 100 cleaning cloths at our house because, cleaning, like that's what we do. But we now ensure that we solely use our cloths in our shoot, and we always get a nice little shot with our label. And every now and then, if we're doing a live event, we'll do Facebook Live, we'll mention, hey, our cloths, and we give a little update on what's happening with our cloths because they're currently being manufactured overseas. So we're waiting very patiently, as our audience is as well. But we find that every time we do a little product shot, there are always questions in the comments and on social, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook. We're always getting asked, hey, what about those cloths? So obviously we're doing something right. It's now just a matter of getting the product to fill the demand.
And maybe to more directly answer your question, Tim, the super fans tend not to get, like, they're so supportive that they don't mind that they see the same message 5 or 10 times because they're on board with, we support you and we'll do whatever it takes. And my original point before we kind of started talking about what we're talking about was to be, my advice was going to be, don't go to the well too many times when you're trying to ask for something from your audience. So if it ever involves them opening up their wallet to give you money for something, make sure you do that with the utmost care and concern and all of the rest. You can get behind it as much as you want. You can say it as many times as you want, so long as you're saying the same thing all the time. But if one week you're talking about getting people to sign up for your Patreon page, and then the next week you're talking about buying your t-shirt, and then the week after you're saying, oh, subscribe to me on the YouTube pay-per-view or whatever it may be, or here's my ebook or da-da-da-da. There's a whole bunch of stuff, and you always seem to be asking about different things as opposed to focusing. And it sounds like what you've been working on, Tim, is like this really big, overwhelming project which has taken a lot of time. So now you want to hit it as as much as you can. If the question is, do they get tired? They don't seem to. We've never really posted anything where someone said, like, could you please stop talking about this because you're talking about it too much.
Yeah, well, that's good. So
can you think of a time, Tim, as a person who is a fan of something where you've been advertised to by them so much that you got sick of it, if you were a super fan of theirs?
that's a good question. I don't think so.
So from your own perspective, there are people you're a huge fan of,
Yeah.
and they do the same message over and over and over again, and you don't care because you care about their product. You want to see them do well. So
Yeah.
you don't feel that way.
It's true.
Your audience probably wouldn't feel that way either.
No, that's good. In fact, there's some people I think I wish they would talk about it more, because it was so helpful for me, and like more people need to hear about this. Why aren't you talking about this more? Yeah.
And the one thing I did want to just add is for like ebooks and stuff that doesn't have a limited number or whatever, I've noticed that if I start talking about something today, it doesn't resonate for about 3 weeks. And then then you start seeing sales come in, and then they kind of stay steady for a while, and eventually they might taper out. But if you just promote hard that first week, you get so depressed. You're like, nobody cares about me. And then like 3 weeks later, you're like, wow, what just happened? And you don't know what it is. It's just some number.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because for me, it's been the other way around. It's usually when I first launch something, like all the diehard people, just like this wave of like, and all these like will buy it. And then, within about a week or so, it's kind of, the initial launch phase seems to, or launch, spike seems to be kind of over. And then I'm kind of into my normal, just, weekly evergreen sales and stuff. So maybe, and guys, I do see all your questions are coming through. In fact, let's do this. Let's hit up some of these questions because they're good. But I want to come back, and what I want to do is ask you, I want to walk you guys through my launch process, and then have you poke all the holes in it and tell me what I should be doing differently. So let's do that here in a second. But first of all, good question from Simply Sherry. I've been told to wait to launch a product when I am 50,000 to 100,000 subs so that there's traction and big enough audience who would be interested. Would you guys say that's true or no?
Yeah.
No.
Some no's, some yeses. This is going to be good.
Some yeses and some nos.
Yes. So go ahead, Antonio. You were saying no, I think. You were one of the no's?
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts on this are you should practice selling, because you're not going to come out the gate knowing how to sell. You want to start at the very beginning, and your audience, if they know that you've got products to sell, they're used to it. And in a sense, you've conditioned them to expect that, hey, at the end of your video, if you want more, guys, in this video, I was only able to talk 5 minutes, but I've got a 5-hour series of videos in which I teach you this. You get better with practice, and your audience also, you have a history of this, and they know to expect it from your channel. And if you try to wait for that magic number, to me, there is never a perfect time to start to sell. You need to get comfortable. You need to believe in what you sell and sell it. Know that it actually does change people's lives for the better. And then I would say start as soon as you can.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I would say 1,000 subs would be a good. I mean, you have to. For me, I don't count sub counts as a useless number, right? It doesn't mean anything. It's watch time, it's loyalty, it's dedication, and those viewers. If you're selling a product, 2% of your viewers might buy it. If that's enough to get the ball rolling, like when I bought the online store from my affiliate, and I had enough people. I'd say maybe 10 that purchased the first day, which encouraged me and helped me and pushed me through it. But at the end of the day, it's my talent. It's my store. I need to market on Google. I need to learn all the different facets of launching a product. YouTube isn't the only facet you use. It's just a tool to get you there. And if you're going to wait for 50, when you get there, you're going to think 60. You get there, you're going to think 80, 90, and it's never going to happen. You should launch it and learn from it.
Okay.
Chad, the one thing I would say to be careful of is that it's going to take a lot of your time to invest in developing a product and marketing it. So thinking about what the margin that you might be able, if you're going to be able to sell 100 of those units because you think that you can convert that many people, are you going to be able to make it worth the return on your time? Because, for example, you could spend 100 hours developing that product and marketing it, or you could spend 100 hours making, new, better content for your channel, which might grow your channel as well. So I think there's various things to consider, but you also have to be fairly confident that you'll make a decent enough margin on a small volume of sales when you're first starting out, that it's still a better choice for how to spend your individual time as a creator, because you've got limited time and projects that you can dedicate your time to. So make sure that you're getting the best kind of bang for buck. And that might be learning how to sell, because that might be a useful skill that you need to develop, and it's not necessarily that you want to make a huge margin on that product initially, but yeah.
Okay. So Chad, you were nodding your head, or in agreement, or what were you saying, thinking?
I think there's a yes and a no answer to this, and I think it depends on your product. We're in a bit of a unique position where when you're selling something like cloths, you have to source those from China. You need to invest tens of thousands of dollars in order to actually make it so that you can scale it to the point where you can actually make enough profit margin on the individual unit so that it is worth your time.
You have to figure out how to ship it, how to warehouse it,
how to ship it to a worldwide audience. Like when we first started thinking about selling cloths when we were about 50,000 subscribers, and we're like, we have a good sized audience. They seem to be very engaged. And then we went through and we started pricing it, and it was a huge investment. So we wanted it so that when we actually did do it, we had choice of colors. We had the ability to customize our tags. Like, we wanted it to be a piece which we put a lot of work and effort into. So as much as Antonio's point is incredibly valid, that you do want to start selling, you do want to set the tone with your audience. If the purpose of your channel is to also have that, 50%, like you said, Tim, where it's reliant upon product sales and whatnot, we got our audience based upon free information and them coming, and then the product kind of became out of that. So instead of us going and saying like, okay, here's just something to fill the need because we have the time to do this, we wanted to wait to the point where the investment would be worth it so that we could sell 10,000 as opposed to 250 or something like that. Because just the price per unit is much different when you're purchasing from the United States or Canada versus when you're actually getting a container load of cloth shipped over from China.
That's a similar thing that we have, which it might be worth considering one of your first or second, third products to be digital products and moving physical products later when you've tested your audience. Do they go from 0 cents to paid? Start with something that you can deliver digitally and then move into physical products when you've got a bigger audience and you've tested their willingness to buy and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Okay. Angela Anderson, do you guys ship yourself, or does someone else do it, all of it, or just real quick, how does that work?
We ship it ourselves.
Okay. Chad, do you guys do order fulfillment, or you have someone else take care of all that, or?
We have, go ahead.
As I'm finishing my drink. we go through fulfillment.
Okay.
See, I don't do that. I have $38,000 worth of stuff behind this monitor, so that's how I do it.
So you do it yourself. Yeah. Well, I hope you sell all that. Okay, cool. You guys are asking a lot of good questions. I do want to hit all of as many of these as possible. So hold on a second and keep asking them. You guys are doing great. Let me come back to my launch, and you guys tell me what I should and should not do and be thinking about and switching up and all that kind of stuff. The way I usually have done it in the past is I launch both to YouTube and to my email list, basically. And so on the email list, I have like a sequence I'll set up of, I'd say maybe 5-ish emails. And it usually starts with for email number 1 is like talking about the subject matter. This is why it's really important, giving you some, tips, ideas, some training on that. And email number 2 is also that. Email number 3. So those are kind of like whetting the appetite, getting people thinking about like that topic or that whatever. Video or email number 3 will then be about that, but the same thing. But then as a PS, it'll be like, hey, I'm working on this new thing. Really excited to tell you guys, next week, and it's gonna come out. So then email number 4 is gonna be like a little bit more training, but like teasing more the problem, and then like here's this training. It's gonna help you like teach you all of this stuff, like all these questions that that you have. And then email number 5 is basically like it's available, go get it. And then the people, so then if someone buys it, it filters those people out into a different segment. And people who haven't yet, who have opened the email but haven't bought it, then those people are getting other emails. And I'm doing this like every other day. I don't like getting emails like multiple times a day or every day from someone. So this is over the course of probably about 2-3 weeks. And so then I'll have a couple follow-up emails. But again, because I don't want to spam people too much about it, I'm like, okay, you know about it. I sent you an email. Maybe I sent you 2 or maximum of 3. You said no. I respect that. No problem. I got to stop emailing you, you know? And so that's kind of what the email side looks like. On the YouTube side, it's mostly like I just wait. Like maybe I'll talk about it like in some videos when it makes sense, but most of the time I just kind of wait until it's launched. And then I usually have about 4 or 5 videos that are all training on something that the product relates to. And then at the end, I'll say, hey, I just relaunched this. It's brand new. If you want to learn more about this, dig into it. Link below, blah, blah, blah. Go check it out, you know. So, and that'll be about 4-ish videos, which 1 video a week. So that'd be like 4 weeks. And then at the end of both of those, I'm kind of like, well, that's what it did. And then I just integrate it like I do all my other products, just as it is appropriate to do so and makes sense for the content I'm talking about. So poke holes. I've got my notepad open, ready to.
Can I give you one before I forget?
Yes,
this is something
please.
I started doing for my store specifically, more than just for YouTube. I am also integrating ad roll retargeting into my newsletters, so that while you're doing that and you're sending those out and they're clicking on them, even if they're not purchasing, it's kind of shady, but whatever. It's how the world works. Is every time they go to a website now, that stupid little ad roll, you know, that little ad choice thing up in the corner has a picture of your mug or whatever with buy my book or whatever it is right there. And everywhere they go, and as they're browsing, even on Walmart, they have ads for some reason, and they'll be in there. So I follow them around, even if they didn't buy it, just to taunt them. And they'll eventually.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't done that, but I'm very familiar with that process, though.
Do you have any kind of a Facebook presence?
I just looked at it today, actually. It's so I know this. I'm prepared. It's 4,662 as of earlier today. So not awesome, like not huge. I don't post to it every day, like it's supposed to, So it's kind of like, so yes, but not really.
That's a page, right?
Yeah, the page. Yeah.
You should start a group. I started a Facebook group like 2 months ago. We've got 12,000 members, and they're going crazy. 100 posts a day, and it's phenomenal. And I put up a video, and I did a live Facebook Live. I mean, we're all video people. In Facebook Live, I had a 35% reach of that 12,000 people within 24 hours in a video. And these are super fans. It's a great way to re-engage them. I highly recommend everyone start a Facebook group right now, because Facebook is just giving their Facebook Live and that video just so much. It's, I think, just a great way to reach out even to your existing subscribers.
Oh man, that just raised so many questions, but that's gets off topic. Okay, so Facebook group, though, just to keep it simple, is like not a self-branded group, but more like a topic that people are interested in type group that I moderate, right?
Yeah, I mean, just call it, content creator, just same name as your channel, and just say, hey guys, if you want to engage with me, Serge in the comments has been asking a great question. Hey, do I need to respond to every YouTube comment? But we know that the problem with YouTube comments is when I engage with somebody, they don't even notice sometimes that I took the time to respond. And with Facebook, you don't have that issue. So I just tell my people, go to this Facebook. I mean, I know it's kind of a little bit of work, but here's the deal: is I will engage, and so I only answer, well, I've got a VA full time. She helps me answer questions in YouTube because we just want to solve people's problems, and then we refer them to videos. But over in Facebook, you can see Antonio Centeno is answering your questions. And for my guys, they love it. And I've just found that, yeah, we've been able to really, I'm not selling hard in that group, but I use it for other things. I A/B test like thumbnails. So I know that titles of videos and thumbnails will really affect how, so I put it right there in the group the day before. And my Facebookers, they love it. They're like, they feel like they're insiders, and they are. And I have fun with them. And again, it's that penetration, and 12,000 super fans, of which I can put up a live video and reach 35% of them in 24 hours. That to me, that's phenomenal. Oh, and it's free.
Antonio, do you find, not to derail the conversation, but do you find that you mentioned superfans right at the end? Do you find that you've managed to capture the superfans from YouTube and managed to engage them on this Facebook group? Because that's one of the biggest things that we have an obstacle of doing, where it's almost like the Facebook audience is a bit of a separate audience from the YouTube audience. So do you find out of the 12,000 members you have, most of the people are also subscribed to on YouTube, and that's kind of where the discussions happen as opposed to in the comment sections of YouTube?
I don't find that there is overlap and probably, but there are people who just prefer Facebook and they're going over there. And YouTube, yes, I do find that some people just aren't going to go over there. But ever since they changed it so that Google Plus isn't integrated and people aren't automatically always getting the responses, I'm willing to. I just find that on Facebook I can deeper engage. Now with YouTube, I do try to definitely get in there, and I've got my people I engage with, but I just find that Facebook I can go deeper with them.
Yeah, I got so many questions.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Mitch. Go.
No, I was going to say, I think you'll find that Facebook is pushing Facebook Live very hard, and you won't get that engagement if you put, say, the YouTube on there or any other video. So it's actually interesting that you say 35%, because that sounds like a high number, but because they're pushing that so heavily right now, that totally makes sense. It's just so viable.
Yeah. So I got a lot of questions about that, but what other holes do you guys have? And then I want to answer some more questions that these people are asking. There's some good ones coming in.
Not a hole per se, but I think an opportunity you might be missing is that you said you do some promotion before it comes out, and then you promote it for about 2 weeks, and then it kind of tapers off, which means there's a good week in there where you've had a spike of people buy that product, but you're still promoting it yourself instead of potentially leveraging the people who bought this product and loving it to help you promote it. I wonder if there is an opportunity there to do an interview or a chat or a channel review or something with someone who's bought the product in that first week to say, hey, I bought Tim's book last week. Here's a couple of things that we learned. Talk to them about, so in chapter 7, there was this section about, titles. Let's have a look now that you've read the book and you've implemented some of that on your channel. Let's see what results you got. So how did chapter 7 affect your channel? Can we have a look at your analytics? Do something like that. Put together maybe a live video or something where you're talking to one of those people and talk specifically about things that they learned in the book, because it's still the buzz of the promotion of it. And then you can attach a real life example of how it helps. And that kind of persuasion or that kind of technique can be even more persuasive than here's a thing that you should want. It's sort of saying, it's not here's the fertilizer, it's here's how great these roses smell because this person bought that fertilizer.
Yeah. Fertilizer. Cool.
I'm just curious about what other social strategy you're using to buttress your sale, because I follow you on Snapchat, but I don't recall the last time in the past couple of days I've seen you do a snap. And I think you have a really interesting opportunity to share stories about what it is that you're doing to help your audience prepare for and understand the product and the magnitude of the product that you're about to launch. And then you can hold things like snap Q&As. You can also do quick snaps like, hey guys, just working on the final touches, and sort of getting people excited behind the scenes. I find Snapchat's really valuable for that. And we've garnered a lot of excitement for things that we're working on, and we're really playing around with it now, like snapping when a video comes out. We have stuff coming in the pipeline, and like Snapchat and Instagram stories are a really big part of how we're going to be selling. So that would be my 2 cents.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Cool. Anything else?
I got to follow up with some of your video creators, attendees, or people that have done it like myself. Say I'm in Twitter groups where I'm talking about this actively. Like today, I spoke with Chris Perillo or Prince, who's in the chat at the moment, and we were talking about pain points still, like, hey, I should do a refresher. Have you reached out to those people like us and said, hey, I've got a new course, you can take a look at it? Because between us, 330,000 Twitter followers, that would happily retweet the product in between you doing that, 300,000 of which are probably Chris Perillo himself, but yeah, no, probably more so. But we're advocates, and we're still active advocates, and we still have these barriers where if you got like more of a web of people who really do believe in you and are willing to push that narrative, I think over time it's just going to keep helping you when you're pushing other platforms or want to take a breather.
Right. It's influencer marketing. You're basically doing the influence. You're doing what everybody's doing to us, right? We're people are that do kikis and cocktails and recipe books and whatever. They come to me, right? Because I'm an influencer. They want me to do it for free, and I did for a while, right? And some things are really super cool, and I will do them for free because it's cool. You're basically need to play your own role on yourself or people like you, and get those influencers involved.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's good. That's helpful. Thank you, guys. This is how this works. Like, so you get some feedback, and then you're just like, oh, now I have 100 more questions. But due to time, let's answer a few questions, because I also want to dig into some of the viewers here working on some good stuff. So ZNut Jam, about selling video tutorials, should they be way more polished than the content on YouTube, if that's already pretty good? Like, you know, as far as the high definition, editing, styles, that type of stuff, what would you guys say? I'll take that one. I would say that it should be at least on par with what your viewers expect, if not up a level. And the reason for that, like, so I try to put some good work, you know, into my YouTube videos. I try to make them professional. I, you know, have an editor on my team who, you know, is awesome, and she does a great job at editing all those, making them look good. And, so for me then to go to like, hey, I'm going to do this training product, and it's just going to be in front of a webcam with a really bad PowerPoint presentation. I'm like, I can't do that. You know, like, it's got to be at least the same standard, if not better. So
I would say
that's how I look at it.
Do one thing differently. Like, keep your style the same, because that's what people are expecting, but do one thing differently. For me, I have a series I'm building on that as well. And all I did in one scene is I pan out, and then I push the cocktail into the scene and have like it go from blur to crisp, and then put the recipe there, which takes a lot more work. You got to set the blur factors and all that, but it's different. But the rest of the show it's still me, right? It's just one little thing that makes it different, so it doesn't feel like they're just watching the same thing they're watching, but now they're paying for it.
Yeah. And I do that different. Like, so my training products aren't like a ton of jump cuts and everything, because people they paid for it. They're going to sit down and watch it. So I'll make each lesson, you know, 10 to 20 minutes or so, and I'll make it feel more conversational. So there's a lot less cuts and jump cuts and things like that. It's more like, let's feel like we're sitting down talking about this, rather than 3 minutes, I got to give you everything you need to know, you know, type thing. Let's talk about this one. So you guys feel free to answer this within whatever makes sense for you guys, so no pressure. Tom Tattle asks, what are your average conversion rates at launch? Is it around 2% or so of your audience will buy when you launch something? Just, is there a good benchmark that you guys would say that was a good launch, or woo, that was really lame?
That's a good, I mean, for e-commerce at least, if I can get people, depending on how many screens you have, you really don't want a lot of screens to get them to that checkout, right? But each one's dropping them. So 2% is not really that bad. I just don't know if that's necessarily, you know, on launch, you're thinking, you know, to me, it's the same number. It's just a bigger scale. So if you launch something, you have 100,000 people looking at it, 2% is big. If you launch it and you have 3 people looking at it, it's small. But if you 3 weeks later, you still have 5,000 people looking at it, it's a smaller 2%, but it's consistent. So does it really matter how many you have at launch? Like that number?
You guys have any other input on that?
Well, I'm going to get back again. I use Infusionsoft, but before that I used Aweber, and I would create specific lists. So I'm constantly looking at who's opening the emails, who's asking me questions via email or via the comments there in YouTube. And then, so let's say if we get it, weed that down to 100, like people that are just, I mean, they're emailing me saying, hey, I can't wait for you to open this. Then in that case, if I've got 100 really hot people, I'm expecting to close 30 to 50%. And again, I've been engaging with these people. I've got it, set up. And your earlier question, sometimes on that first day of the launch, we're emailing them twice in one day. And then as the launch is closing, we're emailing them twice. And we're emailing them once a day over the 5-day launch period. But again, these are people that have raised their hand and have told me, Antonio, I want to be like, I want to know, because I'm telling them different stories throughout that launch process about, people that have used it, how this is going to help them, case studies I give them, how it's going to solve these problems. But the other, let's say 5,000 to 10,000 people who showed a bit of interest of that, yeah, that's where we're going to see maybe 2% conversion. But those super hot individuals that have raised their hand, we usually see really high conversions with.
Okay.
Yeah, you're just qualifying them. That makes sense.
Yep.
Cool. I'll notice that if I talk about something in a YouTube video, like not necessarily during launch, just like, I'm talking about a topic and I'm like, I only addressed a small part of this topic. If you really want to dig into it and go deeper, I got this thing, go check it out. And I'd give it like a quick 10, 15 second plug, really, soft sell. I'm not really pushing this. I'm just like, if you want to dig into this, check it out, see if it's right for you or not. I would say typically that sees around a 1% conversion, from that video. So that's about what I see. Not during launch, just, on the off time. Let's go back to what Melissa was saying about me and Snapchat, which is good. Samantha Nicole, is it necessary to be active on all social media? For example, I don't really like Twitter, but I like other social media.
I hate Twitter, man. But you know what? I'd still do it. Like, I just don't do it as hard. Like I've been focusing on the ones that are hotter. I blast out to all of them, and I spend 3 months working hard on every one of them. And then the ones that don't return any type of clicks, results, or anything that I'm metricing, those fall down to I'm going to hit that twice a week, or I'm going to set up a checkbox on YouTube and say, hey, tweet this because I don't care anymore. Just tweet it. And then I focus more on the Instagram and YouTube. But you can't, if you're trying to do them all, within a few months, you're going to be burned out. You're not even going to be paying attention. You won't even the app. Might as well just delete it. You're not paying attention anyway.
Yeah.
I don't have enough. Oh, sorry.
Oh, it's okay. I think it's really important to understand where your audience goes for social, who you're trying to target, and then learning how to speak to them on that particular platform. So that way you're not saying the same thing on all the platforms, which can get really boring. And that also keeps it fun and interesting. For example, I'd say Twitter is pretty much on the lowest of our list, but Pinterest is great for us because, repins go to our website and that's really helpful for traffic. But Instagram and Snapchat, I saw a lot of you guys in the comments feed here saying, I don't like Snapchat. I don't want to go on to Snapchat. It's foreign. I haven't tried it yet. I resisted Snapchat really hard. For years. And I kept being told, go on Snapchat, go on Snapchat. And I'm like, hey, I just got Instagram. But the truth is, we have an audience on Instagram that isn't on Facebook. And there's a really large audience on Snapchat, and they are diehard. And I got to tell you, Snapchat's fun. Like, I didn't think I would like it, but I love it. So I think it's really important to understand who's on the platform, how you can speak to them, and then what platforms are indeed worth your while. Because of course, some of them aren't going to be.
Yeah,
I'm hoping to talk about that in a little bit more depth when I get a turn in the hot seat in a couple of weeks, because we have a unique problem in that our audience is kids. And kids do not have Facebook accounts or Twitter accounts or Snapchat.
And by kids, you mean like 2 and
3-year-olds are flicking through their Facebook feed. So we have an audience on YouTube, which is children, and we have a smaller but still dedicated audience on Facebook, which is the parents who have signed up to want to know about when we have a new. It's literally completely different people and completely different demographics on YouTube versus those other platforms. Yeah. So we have some unique challenges about that, which hopefully we'll talk about in more depth. But in terms of the question, do you have to dedicate yourself to all of them? I don't have enough attention span I don't have enough hours in the day to dedicate myself to all of the different platforms. So I think if you're a one-man band, it's just you've got to kind of focus your attention where you can where you can do well, because if you're only going to drip feed something, I would say it's probably not worth it.
My approach so far has been like, what platforms do I know I can just nail? And let's just focus on those. And for me, that's been YouTube. Last night, 2 nights ago, I did a test live stream on my channel just to kind of check it out. And I was thinking about simultaneously live streaming to here and Facebook at the same time. And it worked. Technically, it worked. But I had a few hundred people here on YouTube, and I had a maximum peak of 11 people on Facebook. So it's my page, not to a group, so I don't know if that had anything to do with it. Probably did. But I haven't really cultivated an audience, and a community on Facebook like I have on YouTube either. So it kind of made sense to me as well. So to me, I was just like, well, I got YouTube and I got email. That takes a lot of my time. So I'll nail those, and Snapchat and Instagram and Twitter tend to be more like me and my kids, So I don't know if that helps you or not, but that's kind of how some of us think. Let's address this one here, then we'll wrap it up. Zenut Jam. Chicken or egg question. In the case of t-shirts, for instance, when do you promote the merch and then have it manufactured, or do you have it made first and then only then promote it and sell it online? So
can I answer that question with a horror story? So we tried to launch t-shirts for Christmas last year. Talked about the launch because I was trying to sell them. Long story short, they finally got delivered and the whole batch was unsellable because basically of a print error. And we'd got them manufactured, it was going to take kind of 3-4 weeks to get them done again. And we'd done our pre-launch and then they'd arrived and I'd had to say, sorry, everyone, the t-shirts were dodgy and we can't sell them for Christmas. Talk to you in January. And that was not ideal. So I think it depends. You have to be really confident. If it's the second run of something and you know that the product is going to be great, you could sell it before you've manufactured it or before you've seen it. But as someone who started promoting before she'd seen the product, it all went pear-shaped.
Oh, man. So what do the rest of you guys do?
I mean, it depends. Sorry,
I think it's really exciting to build buzz around the product launch, but personally, I don't feel comfortable. I mean, I think you have to have, as you say, Shannon, like that's scary. You want to make sure that your product is tight and everything's good. And yeah, your second run, I think, will be a lot more, comfortable than your first, that's for sure. But I think it's better to be safe than sorry. We always err on the side of caution because it's your reputation.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was why we pulled it, because we disappointed a lot of people. But it was like, I'm not going to ship you something that the print doesn't look good on. So, you have to feel confident in the product to the point where, we pulled it because we weren't confident enough in the product. But yeah, if it's a physical product, don't start promoting until you've seen the thing.
My first product I crowdsourced actually, or crowdfunded. And so I was promoting it, but I wanted to see how many people would be interested in supporting and buying something like this, basically doing pre-sales, if you will, but as a crowd. So the people knew it hadn't been created yet. They knew they were paying for something that was going to come. And so it was a good way for me to kind of measure if it hits this funding point, then I know it's going to be worth my time. It's going to tip over. I'm going to invest into this for all these people. If it doesn't, they haven't lost their money, and I haven't invested a ton of time into something that no one's going to buy. So I don't do that anymore, but that's how I did my first one.
I have a hard time with the t-shirt concept, to be honest with you. Everybody seems to want to create t-shirts for their channel. And I don't get it. To me, I want to, if I'm going to make something, well, yeah, but you're wearing your own t-shirt. I have my own t-shirt.
I give them away. I couldn't sell them.
Exactly. They're promotional material. For me, I try to build products that bring value to the viewer, not as in I get to wear your shirt around, but real value. So for instance, instead of shirts, which I still try to sell, but I sold one in 8 years, so whatever. I made Common Cocktails bar mat. I have a bar, right? I do a bar show, and they can still use the mat, and it has, they have the loyalty factor. It's got our logo on it, and we did a pre-sale, and it was $500 to even start. So I pre-sold enough to make them, and then I shipped them in. I didn't really make any money on that first batch, but it was enough to get the die cast so that I could reproduce the product. And that kind of kickstarted it, but t-shirts won't work because people are like, oh, I'm wearing a Common Cocktails t-shirt, as opposed to their friends come over, they're drinking, and there's a bar mat with the name. You've got all the friends around that all like to drink, commonality. They don't know anything about the show. They do now. T-shirt, it just doesn't work for me.
Cool. Let's do one more question here, and let's make it really quick. Patty Shukala. How do you reach your subs? I'd like to email them. Can you do that without uploading a new video? How do we do that?
I send them to a mailing list, get them off of YouTube, encourage them to click the subscribe gear and have it notify them. For instance, with Tim, I have every time Tim posts something, I know before I think it, sometimes before it goes live, and it's just gray. So the shows I care about, I convince myself that I care enough to get those notifications, and I tell my audience the same thing. that is the easiest way to get them. But if you don't draw them to a mailing list and you don't have Facebook presence enough, you're kind of out of luck, I think.
YouTube won't give you the email addresses of your subscribers is the short answer to that question.
Privacy problem.
You have to get those in another way. You can only communicate with your subscribers through the mechanisms within YouTube. When we talk about emailing them, we're talking about having collected those email addresses from those people in another way other than just through them subscribing on YouTube.
To say the exact same thing in different words, get them off of the YouTube platform and onto your own platform, whether it's your own website or a Facebook group or something else where you can control, where you know more about the people who love what they're watching. Because I know they're talking about YouTube Backstage, I think it is, where it's like they're thinking about a feed, and perhaps you can start communicating, and perhaps that might work out, and perhaps we'll probably talk about that, I'm sure, somewhere down the line with this series. But getting them off of someone else's platform, they are your audience, get them onto your own platform, get them onto your own website or your own mailing list or whatever it may be.
And Patty's another kids channel. I would just say you've also got the problem of the kids versus adults audience. So we'll hopefully dig into that more over the next 12 weeks.
Go ahead,
I just want to add that, and Chad said it kind of briefly, but you don't own your YouTube channel. It's something that we could be quickly reminded of if you decided to ban one of us. I was watching a guy named Mike over at Six Pack Shortcuts grow up his channel significantly big. And I remember his channel disappeared and he was banned for, YouTube. Now, they made some calls, and we're talking at the time, they were probably a $10 million company. And I remember that was their biggest lead channel, and they were going nuts. And I kind of know a little bit about the backstory of that, but that was, you just got to remember that we're on their platform, and you want to get those email addresses, get them onto something that you own. And just remember that, it's somebody else's party.
So the way I do it, one thing, and then we'll wrap up here, guys, is you gotta be careful about ending the viewing session, because that is really bad for SEO. Like if you want your videos to rank well and your video is like the last video in their viewing session and everyone's taking you up on your offer to go to your website and download this thing, whatever, that's really bad for your video overall. So the way I do it, I'm gonna show you here in a second, is that I just have this ebook I show in my end card. It's called The Secret to Building Your YouTube Audience. You get a free ebook, download videocareers.com. And I don't talk about it verbally. I don't push people. It's just there visually for people who are interested. And that way, like, I'm okay with ending the viewing session once because it makes good business sense to do so. But I'm not giving away a different thing here and different thing there, and every video is trying to get every viewer away, because that's really bad. So if it's just one thing that you're giving away in exchange for an email address all the time, then someone can take you up on that offer once, but they never have to do it again, right? So they'll leave one of your videos once, but the next video they watch, they're like, oh, I already got that, read it, it was great. I don't need to go get it again. So that's how I do it, and it's just simply there. And my conversion rate is about 1 in every 5 YouTube subscribers converts into an email subscriber. So that's kind of rough math on how it works for me, but that's how I do it. So with that said, thank you, all of you guys, for hanging out and being a part of this. We're excited to be back with you guys again next week. And I put myself on the spot. Who's on the hot spot next week? I'm looking it up real quick right here. And it is not me, it's Derek. He's in the hot spot. And we're going to talk about optimizing the best posting frequency for your channel. So that's going to be a great conversation with Derek and hear about some of the stuff he's working on. So you guys, you can get the audio version of this, SoundCloud, Stitcher, iTunes, the links to all those in the description below. Subscribe if it's your first time here. This channel is all about helping you guys grow your YouTube audience so you can reach people, impact them, and change their lives. That's what all this is about to me. I know everyone, all these co-hosts with me would also agree that's what this is about, is changing people's lives and impacting them. So, and you'll see right below me, there's my free ebook. That's what I do. I mentioned it this time because of the context, but normally I don't. But you can see now this is how I do it. So thank you for hanging out, guys. We will see you again same time next week, 10 p.m. Eastern time. Derek will be in the hot seat, and we will hang out and talk with you guys then. It'll be awesome. So thanks for hanging out. We'll see you then. Bye.